Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Players Own YouTube channel, to the Away Days episode 98. We are very, very, very close to episode 100 now, just a week away. And we've got, as I said, a very exciting session, I guess, planned for the podcast that day here. As you can see by the multiple camera angles on just me, you're stuck with me this week. And that's why I want to start off totally not football related, but we're missing one man in particular, Flynn Tyson, Iron Man. So congratulations to him, smashed it out last night. So I thought, yeah, a 13-hour plus effort, deserves a day off. So he won't be here today, and Antonio's touring the world as he often is. So just stuck with me this week, but congratulations, big congratulations to Flynn. The Away Days family has got an Iron Man in its midst, so very, very happy for you, mate. Let's get into the football, though. Massive weekend of Premier League action, starting, I guess, with what I learnt from the weekend, and I think it's going to be a theme we're going to really, I guess, build on as we get into December and over Christmas and the new year is, at the moment, I can't see anyone actually being good outside of Liverpool and Arsenal right now. Liverpool obviously firing top of the league, beating Manchester City last night in the big clash. Arsenal, now that Martin Odegaard's back, got that identity back, defensively looking solid, but importantly enough for me, scoring goals. I think it's our 17 or something like that in the last 4 games. So they're finding the back of the net at a greater regularity. They're much more quicker in the final third, one-touch passing, broke apart the West Ham side. Obviously Liverpool, you know how good defensively and attacking-wise they are as well. But Man City not at the races. We know Brighton are dropping points there to Southampton early in the weekend. Spurs, after beating Man City, go and draw to Fulham at home. Man United aren't in the midst. Chelsea probably the closest to, but I want to see it over a longer period of time. So right now, as simple and as dull, I guess, as it probably sounds, right now it's only Liverpool and Arsenal who are the good teams in the Premier League. No one has put together consistent football or showing us passages that we can back it in. And right now, over the Christmas period, I think you'll see that the ladder will chop and change a lot. We've got, I think it's down to 13th place to like around 8th. It's only a point in it. So you're going to see, with games coming every third day, this sort of middle bunch either mix itself up, or you start to see a few teams get into some patches of form. I'm thinking about Chelsea, thinking about Manchester United, that the bigger clubs with more money, with more squad depth, they might start to separate themselves from the likes of the Fulhams, the Bournemouths, in that region there, potentially a West Ham as well. So, it's going to be very interesting this Christmas period. That's why we love the Christmas period as games basically every single day. But we get to see how the ladder sort of shapes up. We're going to shake out the ladder. We're going to see where everyone lands, and come sort of January 20th, you're going to have a rough idea of who our favourites are, who are Europa League sort of positions, and who's going to be the mid-table sides. And I think with the way that no one really is in great form, we might get another massive bunch of teams just mixed up come the turn of the year. So really interested to see how that sort of works out across the next few weeks or so. Let's jump to the top. The Friday night game was Brighton-Southampton on the South Coast there. A 1-1 draw in the end. A real interesting sort of game where Southampton probably had some better movements, better patterns of play, but didn't get the result to back it. Brighton obviously at home, we expect them to go and sit and stay on the front foot, and they were that early on. The Saints obviously playing out from the back, giving away so many chances. Matoma had a chance in the 7th minute as Sugawara gifted him a chance to earn goal, and they're caught out yet again playing out from the back with Jorginho Rudiger putting his effort just wide of the goal. Rudiger was heavily involved in this game here, looking dangerous as he always is in the final third there. Danny Welbeck also went close before they finally scored the opening goal, and it would come in the 29th minute for Brighton and Hove Albion. Tariq Lamptey whipping the ball into the box, Karim Matoma heading that ball home to make it 1-0 in the 29th minute, and that was deserved up to that point in time. But after the goal, Southampton woke up. They were better playing out from the back, looked a little bit more what we saw for them in the Championship last season, and they were really, really good. Cam Archer, being wasteful in front of goal in the 44th minute after a great cross in the box from Sugawara. They would find the back of the net in the second half. Flynn Downs equalising in the 59th minute. A great run once again by Tyler Dibling, setting up at Armstrong. The ball drops out to Flynn Downs. His first goal in the Premier League, boy, was taken well. Just blasted low and hard into the far bottom corner to give Southampton, to that point in time, probably deserved 1-1 scoreline, because they got back into the game. They looked really progressive going the ball forward, much more energy and intensity in their gameplay, and I think it was a deserved goal to equalise. From that point in time, they thought they had a goal to put them in ahead in the 68th minute. Not too long afterwards, a long VAR delay overturned the goal in the end, which was really, really tough for the side, because, again, I really was liking their work in the second half. Russell Martin set his side up well, I think, post-half-time, and the flow was there. Matoma had a chance right at the end of the game, a route bicycle kick towards the 74th minute as well, were other chances to speak of for Brighton, but they weren't really that attacking come the second half. They didn't look much of a threat. If anything, as I said, Southampton on the break, Southampton in possession looked the better side. And all in all, probably a deserved point for each side in the end. I think that's where, to come back to that initial point about no team being really, really good to this current point in time. Brighton, fantastic the last few weeks, get a massive result on the road versus Bournemouth last time out, backing on from that City win. And you draw to Southampton in a massive Friday night clash. It's just, for me, it falls short. You've got to be better than that. You've got to be taking 3 points of this side here. They went momentarily second. Obviously, as the results came in, they dropped down to fourth come the end of the weekend. But that was a massive opportunity to keep yourself well and truly in second place there, equal on points with the likes of the Arsenals and the Chelseas. But you drop away and you drop a big 2 points to a team that's definitely going down and probably going down bottom. And that's just where I think this season there's too many of those teams in and around it. You can beat teams against the Cities and the Arsenals, but you can drop games to the Southamptons, the Ipswiches, sort of Robin Hood style, steal from the rich and give to the poor type thing. So a lot to work on for Brighton. I'm still really, really impressed with them this season, but I was really looking forward to that Friday night game, them stamping their authority on the season and going into this big, busy December, January period in second place and maybe boosting that goal difference, but falling short in the end. And congratulations to Southampton. That was a really, really impressive result on the road, taking it to a very, very progressive, front-footed, attacking Brighton side and doing a great job. They had a few rocky moments in the first half an hour, but after that, some really great passes of play, proper Russell Martin style of football. That was his imprint all over that game of football there, and a really, really solid result for Southampton on the road. Our next game, South London, Crystal Palace and Newcastle. One of the most boring games to come from the weekend in many regards. Newcastle United only registering one shot, and that shot went well and truly nowhere near the goal. It was the own goal by Mark Gehi that gave Newcastle their 1-0 lead in the 53rd minute. A smartly taken free kick played short. Gordon's ball across the 6-yard box, bundled home by Mark Gehi into his own net. And then right at the end, after Munoz had multiple attempts on goal, finally got his goal in the 94th minute. Gehi cross going in towards the back post, well attacked by Munoz and beating Nick Pope at his near post after he'd made some really, really important saves earlier in the game as well. A massive game for Nick Pope in many regards to keep the game respectable, to keep Newcastle in front, but finally the backbone broke come the end of the game. 1-1 draw in the end. Massive for Crystal Palace. Ollie Glasner running to the sidelines to celebrate with the team as well. It felt like a really strange result. Newcastle's draw felt like a loss. Palace's draw felt like a win in many regards because they deserved all 3 points in this game here, peppering the goal away, multiple chances. Munoz sort of had a hat-trick of his own, missing some key chances. Mateta could have scored as well. Ismaila Sarr much improved yet again in this game here, really impactful in the opening half an hour. But it's just a worrying sign for Newcastle yet again. Again, a team we thought who turned it around 2 or 3 weeks ago. Now have gone and dropped a few games on the bounce. Alexander Isak gets injured. Callum Wilson comes back from injury, so you don't have that strike force anymore. Gordon fades in and out of games of football. It's just really, really hard to read right now. Eddie Howe's got some problems on his hands, and it always feels like when Newcastle go through this sort of mini patch where they drop off a bit, you think, is the manager going to get sacked? What's going to happen next? Newcastle United, how do they progress from here? There's always the off-field stuff that comes along with the poor performances, and it's been a side this year that really has lacked continuity. Start the season, they were near the top of the table, but every time they won, they played really poorly. Every time they played poorly, played well, they won games of football. They lost games of football. So it was sort of a mixed bag earlier in the season. If you're winning games and you're not playing well, but then you're playing well and losing games, it's not you can't continue that vein. And then you had a little bit of a drop-off. They fell away. I was putting pressure on the managers, putting pressure on the side. They lifted for a few weeks. Obviously, a good draw against City, beating Arsenal, and you're like, okay, Newcastle are back. They're establishing their authority, working back up to compete with Aston Villa, and then it also falls apart again, and they're back amongst the pack here. So you're still in a good spot to sort of push in because, again, everyone's been dropping points this season. But for a Newcastle side, I think in the end, if they do still finish fourth, it'll be okay. But they look at the process more now with Newcastle United. They're trying to take that next step to join the big boys. It's about how you play your football, how you get results, the swagger you show on the pitch. And it just looked like a team that was void of confidence. The performance was just not there, vanished. And a Palace side of last season with a Michael Olise and a fit Eberechi Eze probably tears this side apart. But you're looking at another flat side in Crystal Palace who are really also lacking confidence, performances, consistent play. So they got really, really lucky in that regard. So in the end, I think both teams, despite one being happy than the other, will be disappointed that didn't perform at their best if you're Newcastle United, and for Crystal Palace didn't capitalise on a good performance because, yes, they jump out of the relegation zone, but it's another case of they can't get a win again in the Premier League. Only one win so far this season. They got to try and stack some wins to try and push themselves well and truly up into the mid-table because it's been a really tough start to the year. But all in all, a little bit of worrying signs now for Newcastle without Alexander Isak. Two poor performances on the bounce. Losing to West Ham and drawing to Crystal Palace. You'd think that'd be 6 points in the bag. But you're only picking up one. So you're dropping 5 points then. Those are differentials. And with Manchester United looking to hit some form, it looks like Aston Villa bound to turn it around soon. And you've got the dangerous Brentfords and the Bryans are in the mix and Fulham as well. It's really important you take the points when you can. And I think performances have to be better for Newcastle United if they want to be a true European threat. More importantly, a Champions League or Europa League side, because you can't go 2 years without European football if you're a big club with the stature of Newcastle United and now the financial backing that Newcastle United have as well, because you just can't be out of Europe for that long. It doesn't add up with the dividends come those seasons end. And with FFP now being quite strict, you've got to be much better in the performances to make up those spots on the Premier League table. Next game, this didn't really come as much of a shock because we know how good Brentford are at home. The new manager bounce hasn't quite kicked off yet at Leicester. Ruud van Nistelrooy was in the stands, but he watched his side lose 4-1 versus Brentford. And I tell you what, it was Kevin Schade, announcing himself to the Premier League. Someone who came across from the Bundesliga on loan, didn't do much, came back on a permanent, injured, lacking, consistent play time. Performances were hit and miss. Finding the back of that was a big problem, and then it came in a big clump in this game here. A massive hat-trick for him. We started the game off with Leicester taking the lead, 1-0 with Buonanotte finding the back of the net in the 21st minute. Jamie Vardy basically made the goal on his own merit. Forced off Pinnock, kept his feet long enough, squared the ball across to Buonanotte in the box to make it 1-0. And that was totally against the run of play. It was one-way traffic basically the whole game. But in the first 20 or so minutes, it was all Brentford football and a surprise to go down 1-0. But we know at home, at the G-Tech, Brentford are the most attacking team, entertaining team. Most goals in the Premier League this season have come at the G-Tech Stadium. So you knew there'd be more goals in this game, especially against a very leaky defensive Leicester and a dangerous attacking force that Brentford had. And it didn't take too long. Vissa equalised in the 25th minute. Schade doing a great job down the left-hand side. One touch and second touch, whipped that ball across the box. Vissa, the easiest tap-in he'll have of the season to make it 1-1 in the 25th minute. And then minutes later, in the 29th minute, Kevin Schade found the back of the net, beating Hermansen at the near post. Mbeumo's ball that he shot to bounce out, ricocheted out to Kevin Schade. Again, a bit of a scuff shot, but well directed in the end, right in at the near post to get past Mads Hermansen to make it 2-1. The game turning around in a flash. I mean, within 10 minutes, it went from 1-0 to Leicester to 1 to Brentford. Kevin Schade then added a second goal, basically on half-time. Really smart dinked finish over the top of the goalkeeper. A great ball in behind from Damsgaard. Little disguised ball in between the lines to find Kevin Schade. And with his pace and with the confidence after that first goal, a really smart finish to get it past Hermansen. The hat-trick was then secured just before the hour mark, the 59th minute. Another fabulous ball, this time by Nathan Collins in behind the back line. And then with the one-touch football they played in the build-up, it just was the most beautiful team goal to look at. Schade slipped the ball past Hermansen, made it 4-1 on the 59th minute, secured his hat-trick, and the game was sort of fizzled out from there on in. But just with a touch of the football that's being played by Brentford in this game here. The Collins pass to find Schade for his third goal. The Damsgaard pass to find Schade for his second goal. It was just fabulous. And the football they play at the G-Tech, it's so funny how the Premier League works, that they are dominating at home. They are absolutely unbeatable at home. Goals, goals, goals at home. You can always bank for 3 goals or more every time they play at the G-Tech. They travel. They just lose their confidence, lose their momentum. Only 1 point on the road this season, coming against Everton out of all teams as well. So it's really a mixed bag for Brentford. But what I loved seeing this game was Kevin Schade just putting his name on the map in the Premier League. This is a really exciting guy. Touching him at the start of last season, touching him again at the start of this season. A real talent that just needs a bit of confidence, needs a bit of a run of form to try and get his head in the game. because you're playing a lack of confidence, coming in for little 10, 15-minute spells and missing chances and not going to get proper 90 minutes under his legs. But this game here was the perfect occasion against a really leaky Leicester defence. But more importantly, getting set up by his teammates, great passes to get him behind the back line, pouncing on the chances when he gets the opportunity, taking his chances as well, not missing those key one-on-one opportunities and really making the most of his start. And I think it was fantastic that he can get on the score sheet and get on the score sheet in a big way with the hat-trick. Gets him some extended time in the starting lineup ahead of maybe a Lewis Potter, and now can establish himself as a starter in the Premier League. So massive game for him, massive game for Brentford, a deserved 4-1 win. They continue to be a dominating force at home, and for Leicester, just more worrying signs. They just fade out of games so easily. There was a goal against the run of play to give them the lead, but they couldn't really defend to control it. They didn't look like they had much control of the game at all. In some passages after halftime, they looked a little bit better, but Ruud van Nistelrooy has to come in and demand work rate, demand effort and intensity with and without the ball. They're just looking really slow, really vulnerable defensively. And then when they get the football, this whole possession style they had under Maresca was working. Obviously, Cooper comes in and slows the pace down. It's almost like they've gotten used to that slower pace and they can't play that zinging football around the park to get the best out of their wide players. Matt Verdedi on the bench yet again, I think, is just, I don't know what they're going with having him on the bench. They need to have him from the start. I think Fatawu and Matt Verdedi have to be your wingers. Let them run right. Jamie Vardy up top is your clinical number 9. That's, for me, the outlook. Bonote and then 10. And just go to attacking front 4. Set up a bit more defensively in midfield and in defence. And just go from there. But right now, Jordan Ayew, too old. Not the answer for me. I know he's Premier League proven, but he's not the answer for me. Not enough goals in his game. Bonote out in the flank. Again, not for me. You're wasting his talent as a creator in the centre of the park. So a lot of moving pieces for Ruud van Nistelrooy to sort out. I think mentality and work rate will be the first things to fix up, because right now Leicester look all out at sea and look like a team that might go down if they continue these type performances. We go to the City Ground for the next game. Forest 1, Ipswich 0. Really strange game, this one here. Forest, a fantastic start to the game. Within the first minute, a corner from Elliot Anderson headed wide by the skipper for the day, Morgan Gibbs-White, and they kept the pressure on. Ryan Yates and Hudson-Odoi somehow were both denied in the 7th minute with a save and a goal-saving goal line clearance as well. Ola Aina then had to do equally good work at the other end. A goal line clearance denied Burgess the header in the 23rd minute there. And it was continued to be a back and forth type affair, but with Nottingham Forest having the greater control of the game in many regards. Hutchinson's low-driven shot had to be denied by Matt Sells in the 34th minute. All created once again by Delap's incredible solo run. And then the goal would finally come. Jota was brought down by Sammy Smodics in the box, allowing Chris Wood to step up with the most Brexit penalty of all time. He smacked that thing down the middle, almost broke the net with that incredibly powerful penalty after half-time. 49th minute goal secured for Wood. That would be the only goal in this game here. Not much else to really talk about. Important double save for Muric in the 54th minute. Murilla's header first had a tip up to be saved, then tip it back onto the bar to make sure it didn't drop in over his head. So that was a fantastic double save. And then towards the end, Jack Clark didn't really make the most of a big chance. Really scuffed his shot just after the hour mark, 69th minute there, after the ball fell to his feet. But it was really central, quite slow, and Matt Sells easily saved that one there. Again, another game where it sort of started well, good intensity, good pace of the game, but just dropped away. I guess for Forest fans, they'll take it. You know, the City Ground has been their, I guess, key to staying up the last 2 seasons. This season has been quite poor. They've really struggled at the City Ground to control the games, dominate games of football, and this was far from their best performance, but they needed the 3 points and they got it in this one here. Against a dangerous Ipswich side, they're a side that never really gives up, never gives in, so you know, they're not going to just fold over like a Southampton would or like a Leicester we've seen do this season. So you're always going to be at the race. You're going to be competitive for all 90 minutes, and they made sure they did do that. Maybe by making a bit more of a scrap second half, it sort of played into Ipswich's hands. They could, scrap at it and try and nick a goal away from them at a break. But Forest's back line, we know how solid they are. We know how consistent they play as well. It was never really a doubt that once they got that lead, they'd do their best to hold on. And they finally got that win once again at home. And hope they can string a few performances at home with a few more better all-round 90-minute, performances, and can get some wins at home to support their great road form, because if they can continue that. Yes, we don't think they're going to stay a top 4, top 5 side, but you can look at maybe Conference League football As I said, no team is great this season. No team's been consistent this season. You string together a few wins at home over this busy Christmas period, over the January period. You continue the performances from like Murillo, Gibbs White, Anderson coming in was fantastic for me yet again. Woods always already breaking records up top this season with his Premier League goal involvements. It's looking in the right vein. And Nuno's sides, they're set up to be that defensively orientated, counter-attacking side. This Forest side loves that style of football. It plays to their sort of strengths. So why not, if it can travel, why not implement a bit more at home, get a few more results at home, get the confidence, use the crowd. It's a great home place to play football and continue to string together performances, because I can see them landing in an 8th or a 7th spot with the way this league is sort of working out this current point in time. This Christmas period is so important. You string together performances, string together results as well. On the back of 3-day breaks, 2-day breaks, to getting maybe a draw on the road, or getting 2 wins at home, or a win and a draw at home, staying unbeaten over different stretches, it becomes a habit if it's so often. When it's back to back to back. If you can keep stringing together performances, string together confidence, build that belief in the side, all of a sudden you go from strength to strength and you find yourself in a really, really nice position come the turn of the year. I think that's for Forest, the focus. Make the home ground a bit more of a fortress to support the away form you've got, and then start stringing together performances and results that you can say, okay, we've done more than half the season, 60% of the season, 70% of the season. We've got ourselves in a great spot here. Even if we do have a bit of a slump come the end of the season, we're in a spot we might be able to compete for European football. So I think that's the key for them. For Ipswich, tough game, tough place to go play football. They work their socks off, I think. And again, I can't be critical on Ipswich. They've got some great players, some average players, and some less than good players, but they all compete every single weekend. Kieran McKenna's side, they work hard. They look good going forward. Like when they have the opportunity to play a bit of possession, show some build-up passages of play and movement patterns, they actually look really, really good. It's just that they can't really string it together for long enough periods of time. And that's just the problem of teams that come up in the Premier League nowadays, in this modern Premier League. You have to be good for at least 75 minutes. You can't just be a 30-minute, 40-minute side. It just doesn't work anymore. You can't just be that side, because every team plays such great football. They play such great passages. They have such great managers and players. You can't just be a snatch and grab side. It doesn't work anymore. And I think for Ipswich, they'll go and think home ground, like similar to Nottingham Forest, home ground form is going to be the key for us. Results at home, sometimes against big boys, like that 1-1 draw last time out versus Manchester United, that will be the backbone of what this team is going to be built on going into this Christmas rush. They're going to have to experience it yet again. They obviously would have had it double time in the Championship when you play basically every second day, it feels like, over this period in the Football League. But in the Premier League, you got sort of 7 games, 8 games over the next sort of 4 or 5 weeks. Make sure you string together performances. I think for them, performance is the big thing, because that will breed confidence. That's when confident young players or inexperienced players, that's when they can go on runs and they can get a few points. And I feel like despite how good Leicester look at times and Southampton look at times, Ipswich for me probably look the best side from those who come up. And this is I think a 1-0 result on the road to Nottingham Forest in the form they're in is probably a positive for the side. Then you can see that many. Look dangerous, the odd attack going forward, Delap really strong, solo, powerful runs. There's signs there. And it might be a similar thing to Luton. When Luton went this little mini run over this period here, they got to a point where they just outside the drop zone. You thought, ooh, can they go and do it? Can they hold on? Yes, they fell away in the end, but that was the most, I guess, respectable side that went down last season. They fought hard. They played some great football. They beat some big sides. They competed with big sides at home. That's the same formula I can see Ipswich using. Can I see them staying up, though? Probably not this current point in time. It's just seeming a bit of a lost cause this season when those teams who've come up because of the talent that's currently in the Premier League. It's just too much of a gap right now in this top division. Before our first segment, let's talk about Wolves 2, Bournemouth 4. And we've got history made here in this game here. Justin Clive, the first ever player in the Premier League history to score a hat-trick, all from the penalty spot. And this was a chaotic game, this one here. It started with a penalty at the start of the game, the 3rd minute. Poor challenge by Totti and Evan Nilsson. Once again, pressing hard the pitch, causing problems in the final third. Led to the first penalty, smartly taken by Cliver in the 3rd minute. Strand Larsen literally went at the other end minutes later, or seconds later, and equalised in the 5th minute. Powerful flicked-on header from a great ball in from Richard Bellegarde from the top right-hand side. They're whipping that ball in with pace. A little flick-on from Strand Larsen to equalise seconds later. So we had 1-1 after the first 5 minutes of the game. but it wouldn't stop there. Bournemouth would lead 2-1 in the 9th minute. Milos Kerkez topping off a superb team move. One-touch football, went through 4 or 5 players in the build-up. A smashing hit that took a little bit of deflection, but roofed into the top of the net to make it 2-1 for the Cherries after the 9 minutes being played. And again, they're probably with the side that deserved the lead, playing the better football, more aggressive, and really, really strong counter-pressing in this game here, which I saw. And that was some of that original turnaround with Iriola ball last season. Probably this time last year when they started to turn it around with that counter-pressing, with that intensity without the ball. And that was really on show here against this Wolves side that really struggled playing out from the back. It was a second penalty given away. This time, after Jose Sarr caught Evan Nelson, nicking the ball off the goalkeeper's feet as he dilly-dallied on it and then kicked out Evan Nelson. The penalty was given, converted by Clive in the 18th minute to make it 3-1 just after a quarter of an hour there. So fantastic start for Bournemouth. Another close shout also for another penalty later in the game as Lamine, last-ditch challenge, brought down Milos Kerkez in the box, but it wasn't given in the end. Strand Larsen did make the game interesting, though. He made the game 3-2 in the 69th minute. Gave the Wolves a little bit of a glimmer of hope. A bit of a poor defensive effort from Senesi. Poor transitional defence from Bournemouth once again. Looking a little bit vulnerable when teams play direct on the break. Caught out yet again. And a great finish from Strand Larsen after Geddes found him in behind. But then to secure the win, another penalty. And then once again, Evan Nilsson taken out yet again. This time, Dawson sold Jose Sarr short. He had to come out and rush out, took out Evan Nilsson, who once again was doing a great job pressing from the front. Proper Bournemouth number 9 is what we're seeing here. Brought down. Clive that converts the penalty in the 74th minute. 4-2 win for the Cherries. As I said, this was Iriola football down to a T. The strike of Evan Nilsson pressing, winning all the penalties for the side with his hard work and causing all sorts of problems for the back four playing out from the back, causing problems from Jose Sarr dilly-dallying on the ball. It was a classic sort of number 9 performance for this Cherries side. Dumpsnanky would do it at times last season. Enesu now is superb at that, coming off the bench and pressing the back line. So it's fantastic performance, Evan Nilsson. He won't get shouted out much this weekend, but that was a match-winning performance. Clivert, history maker from the spot. 3 penalties, all 3 converted. You don't see it often that players get 3 penalties in a game and then finish all 3 penalties because the mind games that happen and you're sure to probably miss at least one of those penalties, but fantastically taking all of those. Milos Kerkez at the back was fantastic defensively, but what we're known for is going forward, and that goal was a smashing effort. Love seeing the midfield once again, Cook and Christie, do what they do best. That dynamic duo for me is one of the best in the Premier League. Work rate without the football. That's what this Bournemouth game style in this game and this win was all built on. It was working without the football, causing Wolves all sorts of problems and not allowing them that ability to get past that middle phase of the ground, that sort of middle third of the ground. Once you go from there onwards, that's when Wolves are at their best. We just say it all the time. They're attacking sort of 6 players, 5 players, some of the best in the Premier League in terms of form and performances right now. But that sort of defensive third and the defensive half of the middle third is where they're all a little bit all out at sea. Have Lamina playing centre half, Dawson coming on underdone, really inconsistent backline, a dodgy backline, a leaky defence. Any sort of pressure on them, which Bournemouth applied, causes all sorts of problems. And they just couldn't get out at time. They couldn't play through it. And once we saw once again, Bournemouth getting a big result, and a much needed result. 2 losses on the bounce. They needed to bounce back. A result they had to have, and a great result on the road. I didn't really back him in considering how great Wolves have been in recent weeks. Unbeaten their last 4. Big goal amount scored. They still scored 2 in this game here, but they shipped 4. And I think that was down to just the pressure and intensity that Bournemouth played with, and the clinical, obviously, finishing from the box for the penalty spot there from Justin Clivert. So a massive win for Bournemouth. Get some back up on track after those 2 fantastic wins versus Arsenal and City. Drop a few games. Tough loss to Brighton. Outplayed versus Brighton last time out at home. Then they go on the road, get a big result, and get back on track. And I think they're looking good for a 10th or 9th place finish. I really am. I know I'm a really big supporter of what Iriola does and the football that Bournemouth plays. I'm constantly watching them play. But what I'm seeing is great signs, great passages, ability to win games in multiple fashions, whether it be in possession at home and penning teams in, or on the road, penning teams in their own half and using their work off the ball, the counter press and the pressing and the energy and the intensity and the ability to work for each other. Evan Nilsson, as I said, will not get any props in this game here, but his pressing work, his intensity to quarter in the goalkeeper in the back line led to all these penalties, led to all these chances which Clivert put away. That Semenyo was missing this game. They're without their number one man, and they still cruised it come the end. Again, the only problem for this Bournemouth side is their consistency defensively, especially when teams play directly on the counter-attack. But outside of that, it's been a really, really solid start of the season. The defense, if it cleans up, they got a great run. They pushed themselves up into European contention. So really, really good to see for Bournemouth. I'm really happy for Iriol to get the respect. I think he's finally deserving this season with some great performances. That brings us to our first segment of the episode, the top 4 combined 11. It's going to be an interesting side, to say the least. It was a tough team to make because you want to try and get the best players in their spots. But when you've got an Arsenal and a Liverpool in the top 4 and you've got probably the 2 best players in the Premier League and Bukayo Saka and Mo Salah on the same side, you have to make some sacrifices. So just to reiterate, at this current point in time, it's Brighton in 4th, Chelsea in 3rd, Arsenal in 2nd, Liverpool on top. As such, I've only got 2 Brighton players. The rest of the clubs have 3 representatives in this side here. I've gone with a 4-3-3, the classic combined 11 formation. Starting from the back, goalkeeper, I went Bart Verbruggen. For the most part, he's been really, really consistent this season. Under Fabian Herzl, he's a consistent starter, and that's good for him. Played really, really well in the Euros. Makes some big saves, by the way. He's made not that many this season, but often makes big saves. This Brighton side's not often under pressure, but when they are, he has been called up and he has made the saves that were being required. So I chucked him in goal. Again, could have gone maybe a David Raya, but I think with some of the players in other areas of the park, I had to sort of sacrifice the Brighton goalkeeper here. I kept with the Brighton route at left back, Pervis Estupiñán. Solid start of the season. Again, fullbacks this year in the Premier League haven't been that great, so I chucked him in here. Great performance on the weekend, I guess, versus that Southampton side. He has put together some moments this season, not quite his best from 2 years ago, but slowly getting towards that more consistent attacking performance, comfortable in the ball, up and down that flank there. And I've seen some better signs from Estupiñán this season versus last year, so I'm backing him in. He's my left back for the team. That's my 2 Brighton players out the door already in this combined 11 here. Come to the centre-back duo. One speaks for itself, Virgil van Dijk. The guy's just unstoppable at this current point in time. Best centre-back in world football. I know I'll stay by that. I've dilly-dallied, especially with those boys on the couch. I get a lot of slack for putting Van Dijk often very, very high, but I've just stick to my guns now across the last 3 years we've done this podcast. I've always had him as either 1 or 1A, 1B, sorry, like number 2, just off the top, because the history speaks for itself, but also the consistent performances. People don't appreciate what Virgil van Dijk does. He's a leader on the pitch. He's the captain of the side. He goes into challenges. He might not, always win. He might, commit himself too early. It might look like he gets done, but he often comes back. And I say it a lot. He just narrows off the pitch for his Liverpool side. When he's defending a play, he might not get the challenge in, but they're only forced in one direction. That's away from the goal. Because his stature, his speed, his agility to just jump into a challenge or to win a ball back or win a 50-50, probably one of the better ball-playing centre-backs in world football. The whole package means that if you're an opposition player, you're forced to do things you don't want to do. On the last night, not much to do. Obviously, makes a mistake at one point in time. But outside of that, he didn't allow City to flourish in the final third. And I see that not with direct actions he makes, but with the movements and the patterns he plays with. It forces players to do things they don't like doing. It forces City to play a little bit wider. The midfield couldn't just ping the ball around and goes down the middle. I think Bernardo Silva struggled. Núñez struggled on the flanks. I think the best way to put it is opposition struggle when they play Virgil van Dijk because of the aura, just the stature of the man, his ability to be there, be into challenges. It puts teams off. And as such, I have to have him in this team. He's been one of the best performances this season. Alongside Gabriel, goal-scoring machine at this current point in time for Arsenal. Playing better than Saliba. I think that we can put it like that. I said a lot. It's going back almost now to the Vidic and Ferdinand combination for Manchester United, with both being fantastic. You have to pick one. And for me, I always chose Vidic, and I'm going to choose Gabriel in this matter here. He's scoring goals, really strong in the challenges. That mistake that Flynn always talks about isn't in his game like it was 4 years ago. Strong in the air for me. I like that a lot in my centre half. Really strong in the air in terms of clearing balls or scoring more in the back of the net. And with the back four, with how solid it normally is, and yes, there have been moments this season, it's often come from Saliba's side. So Gabriel's probably been the less mistake-prone less at fault for the mistakes or goals that have come against Arsenal. So I'm whacking him alongside Virgil van Dijk there. And we continue our Arsenal trend with Yuri and Timber at right back. Someone that's so versatile, can go left or right. Again, fullback's not great this season in the Premier League. Didn't really want to waste a Liverpool spot on a fullback, so I've gone and put Yuri and Timber in there again. Does a job. It really is. I enjoyed seeing him come in last season, and really disappointed that he got injured straight away. We've seen him develop as the year's gone on, get some more performances and minutes under his legs, and we're seeing the value he's got. He can invert into inside. He can also play on the outside, comfortable with the ball at his feet. Got a good ball into the box as well. Really good whip into the area in terms of ball delivery and chance creation. So he's a real full package, and the reason why he's such a great steal, I think, for me, is that play centre half, play left back, play right back, can go into midfield. Got the whole package, and often doesn't give you anything below a 6 out of 10 type performance. In Arsenal's tough periods, he's still really, really respectable footballer. Played some great performances across the last sort of 2 months where they have struggled and been inconsistent, and he can't really be faulted much for a lot of the bad turn in form. I think the defence has been, I guess, wrongly convicted because of how poor the side was going forward. That sort of fell under the fence. They were, conceding goals and losing games, but you can't defend for sort of 60, 70 minutes in some of these games here and expect them just to concede no goals at all. So I think Yuri and Timber, fantastic again this season. He goes in at right back for me. My midfield duo, I'd speak to them as a combination. Ryan Gravenberch and Moises Caicedo. These two, the turnarounds this season have been fantastic. We're looking at probably probably are the two best holding midfielders in world football right now, with some of the football they're putting together. Starting with Gravenberch, wins the ball back, gets his head up. Antonio said it, Toto said it. He's given Yaya Toure type vibes where he just dribbles through and plays, in and out of challenges. Nice and strong midfielder, placing a bounce off him, and he reads the game so well. And when this sort of slightly slower football that Arne Slot's playing, it allows Gravenberch the extra time to win the ball back, play the pass, and set Liverpool up defensively from that deep hole. And he's playing that sort of McAllister role of last season where he's sitting deep, he's seeing the whole pitch, he's playing the right passes and getting Liverpool going in the right direction. So I've just loved the performance he's put together. He's a great build for their position. Hasn't always been a number 6, but he's had to be in this Liverpool team because of the lack of signings they have made. And boy, he's done a fantastic job. I just think his physicality, his smarts, his IQ, and the passing array he's got to start the counter-attack and to not only win the ball back, but start it going forward for Liverpool. You just can't teach that, or you can't just buy that. Certain players have it, certain players don't, and Liverpool are blessed enough to have a Ryan Gravenberch in their side that gets that happening for the side and get them ticking over and going forward. Moises Caicedo, we know what he's good at. We know on the half turn, in the deep spots, being just a menace in the midfield is what he's all about. We saw it in that final season at Brighton. We didn't see it at all last year for Chelsea. And I think it was because all the midfielders were slightly off that none of them really performed. Enzo was off to 40%, Caicedo was off 20%, no Lavia in there, and then they all just fell down to being a sort of 10% type performance. This season, Enzo's up probably at 85% of his best. Caicedo's probably at 95% of his best, and they're lifting each other up to 100% of their best football. It's just been relentless. Caicedo's been into challenges, winning the ball consistently, and then going forward, scoring a belching goal versus Manchester United at Old Trafford, setting up attacks for Cole Palmer, Pedro Neto, Noni Madueke, moving the ball forward. He's got that Brighton feel about him yet again. He's not afraid to go forward and commit to go and attack and set a pass up or split the lines with a pass. And he's going to challenge. He's winning the ball back basically 80% of the time, protecting that really vulnerable back four so well. Chelsea are so bad defensively. It is horrible how bad they are defensively in their back four. They commit so many numbers forward. There's not enough consistent performance, especially at the heart of the centre back. So Caicedo's had to do a massive job protecting, defending, covering off for all the flaws in that side, and yet they still concede goals. He's still stopping probably 3 or 4 a game, it sort of feels like at times, with his coverage, with his work, and how energy-filled he is. He never runs out of gas. Constantly at the challenges. With Maresca's sort of energetic system that requires a lot of work with and without the football, he's the perfect man for the job. So Gravenberch and Caicedo, I think, have just been beneficiaries of their new managers coming in and suiting their styles of football. So they both go in. They're probably up there for player of the season, probably position 3 and 4 with how well they've played this year. I went with Martin Odegaard at the number 10, purely because him missing versus him there has just been a difference maker for Arsenal. We'll touch on them literally in the next game we'll talk about. But they looked awful, just simply awful across the last few weeks without Martin Odegaard there, slow, pragmatic. I don't want to go with the P word, being pathetic in the final third. They looked, a shadow of themselves across the last few weeks. Martin Odegaard comes back in there. They scored 5, they scored 4. Like, they're just scoring at will. And it's unstoppable at times, the football they're playing. And you just think, what's the one difference? Martin Odegaard. No change of fullback, no change in the wingers. Bukayo Saka still performing at the same level, but it's being enhanced by that telepathic link-up with Martin Odegaard. And I think, we think back, Real Madrid player all those years ago. That's what we're talking about, and that's what he's playing at. I constantly find myself going back to that. He said, in the end of the day, he's a Real Madrid player that they didn't want in the end, but he's got that talent. They saw him as a young kid. He has that ability. He's played in Spain, knows how to operate in tight spaces and to set up attacks with his passing array and his ability to be smart on the football. And the way he just speeds Arsenal up in the final third, they are so slow without him there. It's so apparent. The speed of ball movement, the speed with the ball in terms of how the ball moves at your feet and how the ball moves when the ball's not at your feet, just changes. The runs in behind become quicker. The ball moves at a quicker pace. The players dribbling with the ball is quicker when Martin Odegaard's there because he has to attract attention. Then once he attracts one or two, he feeds a Bukayo Saka. He feeds Leandro Trossard. He opens up spaces, for the Havertz moving into the box or Raheem Sterling to operate into. He just makes everyone around him better. And as such, he goes in the team for me. Because yes, he hasn't had that much, goal contributions or hasn't been available for many, big chunk of games. But when he has been there, you're looking at probably the best or second best team in the Premier League versus the 4th or 5th best team in the Premier League when he's not there. So the change is mammoth. So that's such he's in the team for me. I went Pedro Neto on the left. Been good for Chelsea this season. Just a Premier League proven winger, isn't he? Scores goals in big clumps. Dangerous winger. Again, I had to get another Chelsea player in there. And been a really good finisher this season. Not at his best yet, but as the year goes, I think he'll slowly mould into that role and become Chelsea's starting winger for me. Up top, Nicholas Jackson, the third Chelsea player. He's just been a goal machine this year. I think it's 8 goals in the Premier League. Good finish last night against a really strong Aston Villa side for the most part. Done the job, been more clinical, been what I thought he would come in and be last season. That's why I've stuck true with him and believed in him because, the physical capabilities are there. The finishing capabilities were slightly off. Just the final product was off, but he was making other players better last season. He was setting other players up. He was stretching defences. He was doing those 1%ers, pressing from the front. It was just that final one, puzzle piece to put in there. Now we've got a full, complete striker. The number 9 that Chelsea were missing for many years, 2, 3, 4 years now. They've got it. A pacey, physical, strong striker that can score goals in clumps, is playing with confidence, and has got that clinical edge in the final third right now. Needs to keep it. That's the key part. Needs to maintain that clinical edge. But for this season, we've seen it. Hasn't missed many big chances. Scoring big goals for the side and making things happen, whether it be setting the ball up, stretching the ball to be the pass, the assist, the hockey assist on the break. He often does that a lot. Gets in behind, plays a pass to a Neto, who plays into a Palmer, or plays it to a Palmer, who crosses it to Madueke. So he often gets the hockey assist, doesn't get the exact numbers, but is so important for this side and this system. And there's a reason why every manager, Pochettino and now Maresca and what they've believed in is revolved around the striker being Nicholas Jackson. They've seen it there. They've seen it in training. They see the talent. There's a reason why he's constantly there. Is because he's a proper number 9, a proper talent. Obviously, the right winger, Salah. What else can I say about this guy that I haven't said already? Can fade in and out of games, but gets the job done. And come the end of the day, goal contributions is what matters in the modern football world right now. And he's got it. And he got it for fun. Assist last night, then scores on the spot. Has the mentality to just stay locked in. Might not touch the ball for 25, 30 minutes, but when he does, watch out. Quick first step. That ability to just still cut in on his left, even though he might go, you struggle to see him going right to shoot. He's still going to cut in left, but people can't stop it. A wonder of a left foot there. Dangerous on both feet in many regards. Smart on the ball. dribbling. He can dribble out of a cage in many regards. He's so smart on the ball and just finishes chances. It's funny because he does miss a lot of chances. I guess as he's gotten older, he has missed a lot more chances. But equally so, he finishes some of the most ridiculous chances in front of goals. So you've got to give him the props for that. So he finishes out this combined top four, combined 11 for me. For Bruggen in goal, Estupiñán, Van Dijk and Gabriel with Yuri and Timber in the back four. The two in midfield, a double pivot of Caicedo and Ryan Gravenberch. Martin Odegaard playing in the number 10 spot. Pedro Neto on the left. Mohamed Salah on the right. And Nicholas Jackson leads the line for this team here, which is a very, very dangerous team if I don't say so myself. Hard to get everyone in there. Obviously, Bukayo Saka misses. Like a Trent Alexander-Arnold misses. Alisson, Raya misses. But to get the balance of the team right, had to go with those players there. That's the fun of these combined 11 teams. Making sure each team has their representation is difficult. But in the day, it makes these teams a little bit more fun come the end of it. All right, our next game is an all-London one. West Ham 2, Arsenal 5. I tell you what, this is crazy, this game here. All 7 goals scored in the first half. I won't go through everything. I'll just say the goal scorers. Flying start, Saka. Ball into the box, but headed home by Gabriel in the 10th minute. Then it was made 2-0 in the 27th minute. Saka playing the ball across into the box to Trossard to tap home after a great build-up with a little 1-2 with Martin Odegaard and Saka yet again. Telepathic link-up down that right-hand side there. It was 3-0 after 34 minutes. Lucas Paquetá brought down Bukayo Saka, leading to Martin Odegaard scoring from the spot. Havertz made it 4-0 in the 36th minute. Another goal quickly following. Trossard ball over the top. Not dealt with by Kilman. Havertz 1-1 with the goalkeeper. Slipped it in past Fabianski. Then Soler made it interesting in the 38th minute. Again, another goal so quickly after that. A ball in behind, finding Wan-Bissaka. He blasted the ball into the back of the net, making it 4-1. Emerson then, literally a minute later, free kick on the edge of the area. Declan Rice, I think, brought down Lucas Paquetá. Emerson steps up, a superb free kick in off the crossbar into the back of the net. 4-2 then after the 40th minute. Then deep into stoppage time. Fabianski deeming to have found Gabriel. What did he foul? I'm not really sure. There is contact. Is there enough to be a penalty? I don't think so, but the referee decisions did stand in the end. Saka then converted the second penalty to make it 5-2. And to be honest, second half was quite dead in all. So that's the way the game ended. Arsenal 5, West Ham 2. West Ham back to reality in many regards. Really poor, slow performance. Not much involvement from the likes of Somerville again. Antonio not getting many touches of the football. They just lacked that zing, that zip, which they had in waves versus Newcastle United. And it's just, I think for West Ham, the key is to start well. When they don't start football games well, they fade out of games. They don't get control of it, and they're conceding clumps. They're just not good enough defensively to play this whole slow system, give up the ball to the opposition. They can't quite do that. Not under Lopetegui's management, anyway. Maybe if Moyes was here, they could do that slower style of football, the counter-attacking style, the pragmatic defensive way. But they've got too many attacking options now and attacking-minded players to try and revolutionise the side. They can't play the old way. And I think with how slow they started the game and the way they just gave Arsenal the control of it, Arsenal would just say, we'll take it. We'll go and attack. We'll go and get Martin Odegaard in the football. Let him just pull the strings. We'll let Trossard get an early goal here. We'll let Havertz get a first half goal. Saka just dominate down the right-hand flank. It was just strange from West Ham. Poor. Lacking that conviction. You needed a home performance to make your mark early and make it count. So I just don't know. It's a really, really strange performance on the side. For Arsenal, the positive, 5 goals in the first half. As I said, Erdegaard comes back in. All of a sudden, this team is ticking. It is zinging. The ball was moving about that final third at incredible pace. And it's all working because of the ball going through Martin Erdegaard. It's pretty simple. The ball is fed through him. He makes things happen. And all of a sudden, you just get the game ticking over in the final third. For us, I can't say anything more than they're back on track. They're back in form. Do I still back them in the Premier League? No. I still think Liverpool are the team to beat. I still think Arsenal is still a little bit more vulnerability defensively, despite having apparently on paper the best defence in world football. I would still prefer the Liverpool makeshift back four. They just not have as much mistakes in their defence. They didn't concede 2 to West Ham. I know West Ham have been a bit of a bogey team for Arsenal in recent years, but with that being said, you're 3-0 up. 4-0 up, sorry, to make it 4-2 in the space of 2 minutes. That's sort of my worry with Arsenal, is that the mentality for me is still not there. I thought it would be there by now. It's just not there. As much as the fans and the manager can say it's there, they can fade in and out of games. They make mistakes. These red cards early in the season, yes, it didn't lead to a loss here, but these small moments I'm noting down. Whereas Liverpool, I see 1 or 2 maybe across the last 3 or 4 games. And that's sort of where I'm at. Whereas Liverpool have only lost 1 game, the Forest game, where it was a counter-attacking great Forest, proper Forest-type goal. And I just didn't finish chance in the final third. Arsenal have given away red cards to those games. They've given up 2 goals here in quick succession against a West Ham side that was very poor. Like, these small things matter. So then when they face each other off in a few weeks' time, yet again, this time at Anfield, I can't see an Arsenal side that has a bit more mistakes in its game beating a Liverpool side at home, whereas I saw it more likely for Liverpool to go to the Emirates and actually win there. They get the draw, blah, 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 from there. But I just am given more faith with how Liverpool play the football and how consistent they've been versus how Arsenal play their football and how rock and roll it can be at times. But as I think it was Patrice Everett said it, it's like a Netflix show. It's box office. It's constantly drama with this Arsenal side. They score 5, but they concede 2. They come from behind here, or they need a late goal here. And yes, all in all, their performance across the 90 was fantastic. They dominated it. We're talking about very, very small margins now for them to try and win the title. 9 points is Liverpool losing 3 games and Arsenal winning 3 games from now on to the rest of the season. And I said it last episode, and the boys didn't respect the point, but my point is being, we've now got a 25-game season, 13 games now in the past. You're starting 9 points behind the top place. They need to then drop 3 games, and you need to win 3 games, plus the goal difference. So it's basically a 10-point gap right now. Can we see Liverpool losing 3 and Arsenal winning back those 3? I don't know, because I can't see Liverpool right now, the way they're operating, losing to any mid or bottom table sides. So that means they have to lose to the top sides. And then can I see Arsenal winning against every single top side? No, I cannot. So I think that's an analogy that's been used by Mark Goldbridge a lot this season. I've seen him a lot in some of his reaction videos. 9 points in this Premier League that's so competitive, that's so up and down, is a massive mental and just, I guess, a performance obstacle. It's Liverpool losing 3 and Arsenal winning 3. So in a game like this, I want to give them their props. They've been fantastic, but I'm going to be critical in Arsenal this season because you have to be. If we're going to hold them to that, they need to compete for the title level. You shouldn't be conceding 2 goals in 2 minutes. Or West Ham side's really, really poor. Yes, they were 2 well-taken goals, but I'm going to be critical in Arsenal this season. Great performance. I love the return of Martin Odegaard. I love what Bukayo Saka's doing. But against a very average West Ham side, when you're already 4-0 up, you keep it at that. You keep that goal difference. You try and make up the ground to Liverpool as much as possible. I know I sound really, really harsh in that segment, but congratulations to Arsenal. Great performance. Continue this great run. Don't do it on the weekend versus Manchester United, though, because I'm very excited to see how that game works out. We'll go on to my boys. United 4, Everton 0 in our next game here. Funny old game. It was a game, I think, whoever scored the first goal would determine how the game went out. And Everton missed a truckload of chances early on. Beto was gifted a chance early on. Lindstrom had a long shot which Annan had to make a save with as well. Beto later on again, the 21st minute, another chance that's being threaded through by Dwight McNeil. So Everton probably had the better chances, I guess, in the first sort of half an hour-ish. Didn't play the better football, but it looked more likely to score. I think the commentator said it, this first goal, he's going to be massive. And I thought the same thing. I thought, if United concede, we're going to go back to the classic, the crowd getting on the team's back, over-nervous, overplaying the football. It's all going to fall apart here. Versus if United scored first, I just thought Everton would capitulate because they were very vulnerable defensively. They weren't playing that great football. I thought if one went in, United would get a roll on and they'd go and batter Everton. And what would happen? It would happen that way. Rashford double, 34th minute and the 47th minute for him. Zertsky double as well in the 41st and 64th minute. Superb setups from Bruno Fernandes, 2 assists, and also AMAD Diallo's 2 assists as well in the second half. For me, AMAD Diallo was the player of the game. The way this guy just wandered all around the park, playing this right wing-back position where he has to track back defensively, has to change the way his brain works, I guess, from being a right winger now to being a defensively accountable wing-back. I think it's a lot of props in that regard. Did get caught out a few times against Ipswich, less so this time out. Just so smart on the ball, knows when to play the pass, knows when to hold onto the football. especially for that Zertsky second goal and the final goal, the fourth goal of the game. Works his socks off to win the ball back of Tarkowski. Then a driving run, holds the ball enough to set up Joshua Zertsky to make it a simple finish, a tap home. That's the small things, right? And it's been a question of why have United not started this guy? Like Erik ten Hag, I like the manager. I did back him in. I'm often a guy who backs in managers. But the way Ruben Amorim has just asserted this guy in such an important role in this side and he's flourishing, why weren't we seeing this a year ago, a year and a half ago, when AMAD Diallo was available to Manchester United? Because United have been crying out for this type of winger, like wide player. He's not Bukayo Saka, but he's in that mould. Not wasteful on the ball, more often than not scores in front of goal. He might not have this goal-scoring ability or the clinical edge in front of goal that a Bukayo Saka has, but his build-up play, his silkiness on the ball, his relentless pressing, that led to basically every single goal. The first goal in the game, yes, it was the corner, the Bruno set piece out to Marcus Rashford, but early in the build-up it was AMAD Diallo moving the ball forward that led to the initial corner that was given. Then his pressing won the ball back for the Zertsky goal. His pressing won the ball. Bruno takes it, crossed the ball across to Zertsky. Easy goal, 2-0. The third goal, Rashford, it was slipped through by AMAD Diallo with a great ball on the break in behind the back line. And then the fourth goal, I said, presses Tarkowski, wins the ball back, waits long enough, squares the ball to Zertsky, 4-0. And it was just an AMAD Diallo masterclass. Two assists, 3 inadvertent assists, 4 goals, which he was heavily involved in. And I think that goes to show the player. He can be involved in the game in so many capacities. Did his job defensively as well. A really balanced performance of Manchester United, a confidence-boosting performance. Is United back? No, I'm not going to go that far. United, there's so many holes in this side. There's Martinez now, Mainu missing the big midweek game versus Arsenal, so more rotation required. This team isn't fit enough to run out the Amorim system. You've still got vulnerabilities like Diallo playing right wing back when you'd want a more defensively orientated, all-rounded winger that knows how to track back defensively naturally, not having to force to do it. I think great sign that Zertsky got in the goals. That number 10 spot really looks like a position that he could flourish in. You get to see Ugarte really implement himself in the system, which he was found out on under Ruben Amorim at Sporting Lisbon. So he might have a big role to play midweek. I think the midfield is the only problem for me. Looking a little bit poor, especially in build-up play in this game here. But Everton just couldn't capitalise on it, and as such, United just flew on in the end. And I said it, coming into this sort of system, into this style of football, Bruno Fernandes would flourish, and he absolutely is. 2 assists, could have had a goal as well in there if the ball sort of fell his way in a few chances. But he's so heavily involved because there's 2 number 10s. He's sort of as such forced to be up near the striker, up high up the pitch, and that's where he does his best work. When Bruno Fernandes plays at the number 10, I think, for me, the best number 10 in the Premier League. Martin Odegaard goes close, De Bruyne goes close, but right now, currently, Bruno Fernandes plays at the number 10, not at the sort of wide number 10 or at the sort of 8, just at the 10, you see what happens. There's goal contributions, assists, goals, things happen. United look better. But in the recent years, especially across the last few years with the injury problems, to force deeper, to cover off defensively to help United out. He's playing right wing back at times for this Erik ten Hag, someone that had to just rotate things around. Bruno Fernandes is a great creator from deep, but he's a great creator and a goal scorer in the final third. He made his name as basically a second striker for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Manchester United. So it's great to see him in the final third. It's great to see AMAD Diallo flourish in this side. Great to see Rashford looking more confident in front of goal and making things happen. And a really important side for Ruben Amorim to get the confidence in this side and get the fans and the players believing in his system, because it's going to be a big change. And he said it. Let's not look at the result. Let's look at the performances. And the performance yesterday was much improved for longer periods. Ipswich, you sort of saw 30 minutes of it. I think midweek in the Europa League, you saw sort of 40 minutes of it. Yesterday, maybe 50 minutes of it. If you can keep growing, you're seeing more passages of dominance, possession, control, attacking football. Then we're starting to see the real turnaround happen for Manchester United. But that is probably 5 months away. And that's unrealistic to expect this season from Ruben Amorim's side. But really important result for him. Everton's problems continue to deepen. They cannot find the back of the net. Another game without scoring. Yes, the unbeaten run looks good because you're drawing games. But if you can't score, you can't win games. And last night, they couldn't find the back of the net early in the game. If they had, totally different game. Everton might win it. They might get a 1-1 draw, which I thought would happen. But they didn't take their chances early on. United get that first goal. And then from there, it just sort of snowballs on. United dominate, 4-0 win. Everton more pressure on Shaw and Dyche and sort of drop back amongst that sort of bottom five. So needing to find the back of the net in games coming up, because it's going to get pretty ugly over this Christmas period if they can't find the back of the net, especially with how often games are coming. Quickly enough flick over Spurs 1, Fulham 1. Just Spursy, very Spursy from this side. Beat Man City at the Etihad 4-0 and dominate them, and then go draw to a average Fulham side. They weren't at their best. They still created a lot of chances, but were far from their best in this game here. Brandon Johnson made it 1-0 in the 54th minute, unmarked to the back post, getting on the end of a Timo Werner ball into the box. Then Tom Kearney equalised in the 67th minute after Iwobi pulled the ball back to him. Absolutely lashed in that first-time shot into the far corner to make it 1-1. Fraser Forster has to make some big save in this game here to keep the game respectable early on, as Fulham were really, really on the front foot in the earlier passages. But yet again, I can't say anything more than this is what I expect from Spurs. Everyone joked about it, but deep down we knew it was going to happen. They cannot put together consistent performances. There was boos ringing out at full time, but again, I don't think this is a manager problem. I think this is a player problem. They right now just are not good enough to string together performances. Dom Solanke was on the side, I get that. No goalkeeper, I get that. The back line, but like, show me the same sort of intensity and fluidity on the ball that you showed against Man City. Because in this game, it wasn't there. It was invisible. And the fact you can go from such high quality, important performances against one of the best teams in world football, yes, albeit slightly off pace, but do it away and do it so well for 90 minutes, then go and show it for maybe 10 minutes at max. It's just not good enough for me for Spurs. And once again, Kulusevski not being in the starting 11, his involvement being limited, Spurs not winning. It is so obvious the correlation between Dejan Kulusevski performing well and Spurs winning. I don't know why he wasn't involved. It's dumbfounds me. I don't know if he was carrying a knock. I didn't actually watch this game last night. I saw the highlights package of this, watching the Chelsea United game. But with so many rotation, the one player you cannot rotate is Dejan Kulusevski. He is, so far this season, his correlation between performances and points is probably 100%. When he performs at his best, Spurs win every single game. When he's slightly off it, maybe they draw games. When he's not involved at all, not a part of the system, they probably lose him. It's just so strange that you don't use your number one guy that is making things tick for your side. And I think, in the end of the day, Fulham probably upset. They probably didn't take all 3 points in the end. How many chances they had in the first half for Tottenham. Back to the drawing block. You've got to try somehow just eliminate this Spursiness of win, lose, or back and forth performances out of the system. They just cannot get rid of it right now. As bad as United and Newcastle and Chelsea have been, they've never been like this, where they win games so well and then look so poor and draw a game. It'd be like United might lose 3 in the trot with being poor, but then win 4 in the trot with being great. But Spurs just, one game to the next is a roller coaster of emotions. And I don't know how their fans do it. Fair play if you do it, because I just do not understand it. It is just ingrained into the club right now, inconsistency. It is just drilled into this team and these players. And Ange's trying his best to get rid of it, but I think it might be the end of him, to be honest. He might get sacked just because of the players not being good enough. Conte said it. Mourinho sort of died on that sword as well. Great managers have come there and not be able to perform because the players just can't win. They can't string together 8, 9, 10 games of great performances, including 8 wins. They can't go 10 games all performing well and winning 8 of them. I would be dumbfounded if they could do that. This Christmas period, as I said, so many games coming, performances is key. That's been the theme of this episode. If you haven't heard already, you're hearing it now. Performances is so key when you've got game after game after game. So important. So you have to be better for your Spurs. Next game, Chelsea 3. Aston Villa 0. Problems deepen for Aston Villa. Nicholas Jackson opened the scoring in the 8th minute. Great work from Cucurella down the left-hand side to get the ball back into the dangerous area where Jackson could score. From there, Watkins missed a massive chance in the 15th minute after sitting Fofana down, went one-on-one with the goalkeeper, but put it straight at Robert Sanchez. That was a massive chance missed. Another massive chance for the Chelsea. Palmer testing Martinez in the 22nd minute as, once again, Aston Villa looking very shaky, playing out from the back and not very comfortable. Shown by the fact of an indirect free kick given away as a back pass was handled by Martinez. But Villa were basically all at sea for the first half an hour. Finally, at last, Chelsea made it 2-0, deserve a 2-0 lead. once again, Enzo Fernandez on the score sheet, the guy that I've been so critical on. He's turned it around in recent weeks. Little 1-2 pass with Cole Palmer. A dangerous, just ping that shot right into the bottom quarter to make it 2-0 after 36 minutes. From there on in, there was a few chances back and forth. Barkley probably had the best chance for Aston Villa, with that cleared off the line by Colwell in the second half. But Chelsea's third goal came from a Cole Palmer, just iconic Cole Palmer finish, a trademark Cole Palmer finish. Ball right out to him, left-footed, take it out of his feet, whips it in the far left-hand corner to make it 3-0. And that's where the game would end for Chelsea and for Aston Villa. Villa, this has gotten beyond ridiculous now. Another game without scoring. Another game looking dodgy, playing out from the back. The identity just seems to have fallen apart. The confidence looks to have fallen apart. Unai Emery is looking dumbfounded on the sideline, the touchline. He doesn't know what's going on. So I am worried for this side. They move into the bottom half now. I think it's yet to have a win in 5 or 6 Premier League games now, 5 Premier League games. These losses hurt. But for me, it's going forward. It is so starkly different. Leon Bailey, no impact. John McGinn, competitive but no impact. Ollie Watkins misses his chance. Morgan Rogers, teams know him now. They're doubling him. They're facing him up. They're forcing him not to just take a touch and turn. It's gotten to a point where maybe Villa have been found out. Maybe Unai Emery's been found out. And we saw how it sort of fell apart at Arsenal. I'm worried the fans getting on Aston Villa's back here. Their season can't just be defined by a few good wins in the Champions League. It's getting to that point now when you think about it. They're below Manchester United, who've had an awful season, a chaotic season. But Aston Villa are below that. And this isn't now just a once-off. It is coming every single time after a Champions League game. The double-ups are hurting this side. So that's one thing. But the second thing is, where's your attacking identity gone? Free up Morgan Rogers. Phil Jean was okay, but we need more. Leon Bailey's fallen off the face of the earth. No longer a part of this important front line. McGinn's trying his best, but he isn't that sort of spark player. Watkins, when he gets his chance, has to just take it. Then that first chance he got early in the game, in the sort of teen minutes, he had to take it because that gives you confidence to fight back in this game. Things happen in the final third. The first proper passage, proper great movement is worked. And then from there, the confidence, spurs on. You get, a more confident, consistent Aston Villa performance. But that 2 goals last time out versus Crystal Palace was a bit of a one-off in many regards. They've really struggled in front of goal. 0-0 midweek in the Champions League. 3-0 loss here. I think it was another 0-0 or 1-0 loss last time out in the Premier League before the international break. They cannot score goals. Watkins is looking flat in terms of confidence. Morgan Rogers is looking tired or just well worked out. McGinn struggling. Yuri Tielemans is trying for midfield. Kamara's come back, but he's not going to be that attacking force. He's a defensive cover. There's just no forward movement. John Duran isn't that guy off the bench anymore. It's just dried up. The goals have just dried up. And I think of Aston Villa, I think of an attacking first system that has a great goalkeeper and handy defenders. Not a defence first that can nick a goal on the break. That's not Aston Villa. Aston Villa is a very, very talented, clinical front line, which isn't there right now. And that's the worry for me. Your identity is attacking football. Your identity is falling apart. So how are we going to counteract this? How are you going to bounce back from this? Because right now, I don't see who's fixing this other than just maybe a game where they just all click and then the confidence just rides them out from there. Because right now, the confidence is at a rock bottom this side. I think Unai Emery's confused. I'm confused. How do you fix it? How do you negate Morgan Rogers being doubled or found out? How do you negate teams not playing super high lines so they used to have pace in behind? I think Phil Jean's a bit of an answer because he's smart in the ball. He can dribble past defenders. But outside of him, who's going to be the X factor? Who's going to create things? Leon Bailey ain't doing that this season. I don't think John McGinn's going to be that guy. So what's going to be the go from this point onwards? Quickly and Chelsea, they're doing it. They're doing it properly this year. We have to consider them a part of the title race. They're equal on points with Arsenal. They're really, really performing at such a high level. They're a dangerous goal-scoring side. The reason we can't trust them is defensively. They gave away a few chances where Fofana slips, poor playing out from the back, have to be covered off by great tackles from Caicedo and Lavia. So there is still worries. Obviously, Reece James out for an extended period yet again with an injury. Colwell went off with the injury as well. So defense is the problem. But Enzo Maresca said it. He said, I expect defense to be our weak point, but we're just going to score goals. And they're doing what he said. Jackson's scoring yet again. Enzo Fernandez dominating the midfield battle once more. Cole Palmer getting back on the score sheet with a just trademark finish. They're just unstoppable going forward. So as much as we can be critical on them and not back them in, you have to at this point. They're there. They're warranted to being there. Their home form's really, really good. They score goals. They concede a fair chunk. They concede a fair chunk of chances, but they keep outscoring teams and teams miss the odd chance here and there. They're going to win a lot of these games like this scoreline. So, really dominant performance. Probably one of the easier results on the weekend. And I think more question marks surrounding Aston Villa and how they go from here than any more props for Chelsea, because this is just what we've become used to now for Chelsea. Dominant 3-0 win, establishing themselves purely as a top 3 side at this current point in time. And they are establishing themselves as a top 3 side because Man City are not a top 4 side or top 3 side. They lost 2-0 Liverpool last night. Their first shot came well and truly into the first half, 40th minute. The longest time I've had to wait for a shot, I think since the early 2000s, if I'm not mistaken. It was a game dominated by Liverpool. The rundown of the game, Szoboszlai had a 10th minute effort, also saved by Ortega, but showed in the early moments of the game was all one-way traffic. Van Dijk had a header at the back post in the 11th minute, which he headed just wide of the target. And once again, it was about time something was going to happen, and it did come over the next minute. Cody Gakpo made it 1-0 in the 12th minute. Mohamed Salah, I'm going to be honest, I think it was a shot. It came across, though, at the back post. Kyle Walker just switches off. Gakpo just waltzes in to almost shin the ball home at the back post in the 12th minute to make it 1-0. A great counter movement, a long ball over the top for Mohamed Salah. He lulled the defender to sleep. Left-footed shot became gross, and again, Kyle Walker not being that guy, looking switched off. And at the back post, Gakpo coming in to tap the ball home. Could have become worse in the first half. Van Dijk went narrowly close with a powerful header in the 19th minute. Alexander-Arnold had an effort from outside the box from a corner that fell out to him. He put narrowly wide of the goal frame as well. As I said, Rico Lewis is scuffed outside the foot effort in the 39th minute. Was City's first shot. They did not really fire a shot in the first half. They got better as the first half grew older, but really, really nowhere near it in the first half in many regards there. Gakpo was denied yet again in the 50th minute, once again getting in behind, but Núñez to the rescue with a great sliding challenge and block from there. Another Van Dijk head in the 51st minute, this time just over the crossbar, but the pressure kept growing. Mohamed Salah probably missed the chance of the game. Silva giving it away in midfield. Great pressing effort from Liverpool. Then Salah threw on goal. Somehow could have the option to square the ball, but put the ball high over the bar in the 56th minute. But he would come to make up for his miss later in the game. 78th minute, Núñez once again causing problems for Diaz, winning that ball back from him. And then running through on goal. Had to be taken out by Ortega, who had to come off his line to try and make an effort. Took out the centre forward, and then it was Mohamed Salah to score in the 78th minute to make it 2-0. There was one scary moment in the 83rd minute. Van Dijk just lost control of the football, playing out from the back. KDB went through on goal, but Kelleher was up to the task yet again, meaning Liverpool won 2-0, established a 11-point gap over City at the top of the table, a 9-point gap to Arsenal on first or second. So all good things for Liverpool in the last week. They've beaten the reigning Premier League champions in Man City. They beat the Spanish champions in the midweek in the Champions League, Real Madrid, and they beat Bayer Leverkusen a few weeks ago in the Champions League, the champions of Germany. So they've done the treble of being the champions of each country. PSG next, and they've basically conquered the top 5 European leagues. It just to show Arne Slot's team is firing. It is firing all cylinders. Again, a dominating performance where, again, they just had the ball when they needed to, kept City penned in. Their counter-pressing was fabulous. Núñez up top, Diaz, Gakpo all working. Gakpo just finding his spot. The left wing is his spot. I don't know why Jurgen Klopp didn't persist with it last season, but he's looking comfortable there. He's scoring goals now. And partly because City were just totally off it. They didn't look likely. Núñez in midfield and the wide area was poor. Foden didn't have much of an impact. Gundogan, again, looking slow. Bernardo Silva put one of the worst performances I've seen him put in for some time. Kyle Walker just switching off on the goal. I'll start with City. I don't know how to fix that. That looks like just the tired legs, like really tired legs. Yeah, key players not being able to stand up. Haaland didn't have a sniff in this game here. He didn't barely have a touch of the football. They had created nothing for him. I think you have to go back to the wide players. When Doku comes back, get Doku straight back into this side. Doku and Grealish is the way to go for me. I think Foden has to sit. He's been too poor, not created enough, wasteful in possession. Gundogan has to go. Like, just has to go. And same as Rico Lewis. I don't know why they're positioning of Rico Lewis in that sort of inverted midfield spot. Put him back to right back. Put John Stones into holding midfield. For me, is a simple fix that should cover off what the problems have been for City. And despite being exposed in the transition yet again, all in all, they're actually not that bad in terms of preventing Liverpool counter-attacks. So the first goal comes from a counter-attack, but outside of that, they weren't too bad. It was, to me, it was just with the ball. They just weren't creative. They weren't great. They were wasteful in possession. They were pressed off the ball by Liverpool's energy and intensity. They just look like a shadow of themselves. And it's almost like they're feeling sorry for themselves at this point here, where they're not willing to fight. They're not willing to fight and make a scrap of this. The game could have been made a scrap of. But Liverpool's class was just shone over the top of Man City's side. It looks like a very, very tired City unit that I don't see fighting back to win the title. I consider them fighting back to make it interesting, but I can't see them fighting back to win the title now. I said it, this was going to be a do or die clash for them. A draw, I'd keep them in the title race. A loss, I would count them out, and I'm counting them out. And the way they went out sad. Like, it reminded me of a boxer in the 12th round that's been knocked down 3 or 4 times, barely on his legs, and just being played with by Liverpool. Like, Liverpool were just toying with Man City. They were down and out from the kickoff. They didn't look ready. They didn't look at the race. They didn't look ready for prime time. That's what they looked totally just stunned by the intensity of Liverpool, the crowd, the atmosphere. And once that first went in, it was almost like they submitted defeat. They were like, ah, we're done. And we don't see that often with City sides. City sides of the last 7 or 8 years would maybe draw that game. It's the first time Liverpool have beaten City in 2 years. So despite how good they've been at home, Liverpool, and Guardiola's never won there, they've always got a point, or kept it a 0-0 or 1-1. That could have been a 1-1 game, but the way they just gave up and folded over is maybe more a sign of Liverpool. I'll give my props to Liverpool here. They were fabulous from the start. The energy with and without the ball, fantastic. Again, they're not the rock and roll pressing of Jurgen Klopp, but the signs were there of last night of some Jurgen Klopp implemented styles tactics, where they were just very energetic. Núñez, Diaz, Salah pressing up the pitch. Gravenberch and McAllister just owned the midfield. They ran it riot, ran it dogged, passing the ball around, controlling the pace of the game. Again, they were toying with City at times, just keeping possession, keep ball off, make City chase the ball. There's not many times you can say City were chasing ball. Normally it's teams chasing City who were just passing the ball around. And I just think Van Dijk made that one mistake late in the game, but the back four was solid. Trent comes straight back in, does a great job. Kerman Kelleher, he's got to be the top 5 keeper, top 6 keeper in the league. Van Dijk makes the mistake. He had the one save to make all night. 1-on-1 with De Bruyne, still made the save. Dominant out from the back. Andy Robson looking much better in this game here. Great control in midfield. And, you could excuse Liverpool from being emotionally fatigued from the crazy night that was the Champions League midweek. But they came back and they were ready to go. They were the team looking energetic and ready to go at home. They wanted to make a stand here. They wanted to make stamp their authority in the league, and they did that. Mohamed Salah, fantastic yet again. Yes, he missed a big chance, but a goal from the spot, an assist to Gakpo. He was fantastic yet again. Arguing for the best Premier League player in this era now has to maybe change. I always said De Bruyne because he had the trophies, but the way De Bruyne has fallen off and Salah's continued just to stay doing what he keeps doing is just ridiculous. The guy can be in and out of games, but when you need him most, he's going to stand up and score you a big goal. He did that last night. Yes, he missed that 1-on-1, but the penalty's given. Who steps up? Mohamed Salah. After he misses the penalty midweek, he missed the big chance in this game. I'll step up. I'll convert the penalty. I'll secure the win for my side. And I just think you've got the best attacker right now in Mohamed Salah. You've got the best defender in Virgil van Dijk. Probably got the best midfielder in Ryan Gravenberch. So what's the reason why this team isn't your title favourite and isn't right now in position 1A to win this title? They've got a 3-game differential on top of the league. They've got the best player in every single part of the park. Probably the best goalkeeper in form, best defender in form, best midfielder in form, and best attacker in form. And that right there, beating the last year's champions, not losing to your number 1 competitor in Arsenal, that screams title. And I don't want to overreact and say, the title's wrapped up, but They are in such a strong spot now to win this. Arsenal will come and Liverpool will drop some games. We have to expect that in this busy period. But I can't see Liverpool dropping more than 9 points versus what Arsenal will drop. Arsenal will still drop points as well, but Liverpool are not dropping a 9-point differential for me to Arsenal. I don't think they've got that in them. This new system this year that's less energy in terms of emotionally driven, physically driven, sapping than what Klopp's system was last year. They were top the same last year. Was it the same gap? I think it was half this. I think it was 4 or 3 points. They're 9 points clear already. With a new manager that's come in and just hit the ground running, you've got to just bundle up and say they might just be too good. And Arne Slot just knows how to win games of football. He sets his team up so well and adjusts in games so well. I just think probably for me the best manager in the league right now, the way he's doing it. It's been fantastic and a really dominating result and a deserving result of that 2-0 over City to make sure they stay top of the Premier League. Finishes off, final segment, team of the week. I don't want to do any more big segments without the boys alongside me, so I'm going to go with who I thought were the team of the week this weekend. I'm going to go with Fraser Forster in goal. Despite only the draw to Fulham, some big saves in there in important times. Nick Pope was also close, just tossing and turning in those two there, but I'm going to go Fraser Forster. Kept it close in the first half where Fulham were on top. Back three, Gabriel obviously scored a goal. Fabulous throughout the weekend and solid on the ball, as he always is. So Gabriel for me. Dan Burn, a goal-saving block. Solid where Newcastle barely got out of their own half. He was one of the key figures at the centre of that defence, keeping Crystal Palace at bay. So I put him in there alongside another player in that game, Munoz, who got that late equaliser and was massive in that game with plenty of chances to feast upon. So I put him in there as another centre half. My midfielders, again, it's a very attacking side. I apologise. So Enzo Fernandez in midfield, got the goal, ran the midfield versus Aston Villa, did it at ease, looking at his near World Cup best where he just controls the pace of the game, pops up for big moments, makes things happen in the final third. That's what I thought Enzo Fernandez would be when he came across those 18 months ago, but we haven't quite seen it for a long time. We're finally starting to see it now, just starting to flourish. I think it's helping with Moises Caicedo being at his best alongside him. Now we've got a lot of attackers. So I'm going to, the other central midfielder, well, I'll put Justin Kluivert in there. Hat-trick of penalties, you have to put him in there. History maker. Says a lot. I say it's not very easy just to convert 3 penalties in the same game versus the same keeper, so fair play to doing that. He's in there. The left attacking midfielder, I'm going to go with Kevin Schade. Very, very impressive hat-trick. As I said, sort of burst into the scene to the type of game. Stamped his authority in the league, said, I'm here and I'm here to stay type vibe. With Tony not being there, in Birmingham, Vista needs some support up there. Kevin Schade is your guy. Can play in the middle, can play out in the wide flank there. And fantastic hat-trick. Well taken hat-trick and a much-needed one for him and his confidence. The right attacking midfielder, I'm going to Bukayo Saka. You could have put some other players in there, but again, his involvement, goal, assist, so heavily involved with everything Arsenal does in the final third. The way he works with Martin Odegaard, the telepathic link-up they've got. He was mammoth in the side's 5-2 win, so I'm going to put him in there. In number 10, AMAD Diallo, player of the game versus Everton. As I said, inadvertently involved in every goal, but 2 direct assists and a third hockey assist there. The best player in the park by a long way, showed his class. Best player for United in a 4-0 win, so you have to chuck him in the side for me. And then leading the line, got Joshua Zirkzee, who gets his double, much needed double for his confidence. Got called out by Ruben Amorim last time out versus Ipswich. And then started this game. Amorim thought it was the game for him, and he was absolutely rewarded in that fact. Again, 2 sort of tap-ins, but that's what he's all about. He played in the number 10 spot, dropped in to support the midfielders as an out ball, played little one-touch, half-turn balls into the wide areas, and then got into the box for chances later on. And that's sort of what, I guess, Zirkzee's all about. At Bologna, that's what this football he played. He dropped in, relieved the midfield with being an out ball, dropped the ball off to the wide players, then got back into the box for a tap-in. And that's sort of what he did last night versus Everton. A great all-round performance for him and deserving of the team of the week spot. Finishing off, winners and losers. I got winner being Arne Slot. Got the better of Pep, got the better of Ancelotti in 1 week of football. Established his side 11 points clear of the reigning champions, 9 points clear at the top of the Premier League. Liverpool fans, you guys are sleeping happy for the next few days, and hopefully they can extend that lead as the few games come tumbling in of this Christmas period here. And the loser, I've just got Spurs fans. I feel sorry for you guys. You guys go from the highs of beating City at the Etihad 4-0 to draw into a less than impressive Fulham side at home, and probably looking like the least likely side to go win that game of football. I don't know how you guys do it. Fair play to sticking with this side, but it is a tough watch at times, and that game on the weekend was just Spurs summarised. Very, very Spursy of them. So the loser of the weekend, you Spurs fans, I respect you sticking with it, but boy, it's very difficult seeing you guys go from the top of the top to very, very mediocre in the space of 7 days. With that being said, guys, that brings the Away Days episode 98 to an end. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm sorry again, it's just me. I might get used to this though. As I'm heading away over the Christmas period, I'll be doing these solo pods or prediction videos on the road. So get used to my boring ass voice. Thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed it, please smash the like and subscribe to the Players channel and press that post notification bell. Make sure to go and get 5 stars there on Spotify. And if you're still watching, to my friend Flynn, congratulations on the Ironman. He'll be back for episode 100. Nathan will be back on the midweek episode podcast. We have to talk about Real Madrid's sudden turnaround and Barcelona continuing to just trip up in La Liga. Tots will be back for episode 100 as well. As I said, it'll be a Premier League draft, an ultimate draft. We'll try and make our best team possible. Maybe a few games in there, maybe a bit of football tenable as well. We'll rip off some pitch side classics in there. As I said, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. I'll be back again. I'm back every single day across Christmas, in December until Christmas. So there'll be another video coming out very, very soon, and a prediction video coming out in a few hours' time as Premier League games are just ticking over this time of the year. That being said, guys, hope you have a great day, and I'll see you guys on the podcast very, very soon. See you later, guys.